But actually, the owners' meetings is where
Yeah.
I wanted to start because that's where John Schneider spoke yesterday. And for all you little Richard Sherman lovers out there who think that Brock and I are making all this garbage up, John had every opportunity to destroy the Richard Sherman could be traded idea because he was asked about it. And all he needed to do was say, yeah, we're not going to trade Richard Sherman. But guess what? He didn't do that. Instead, he said this.
I mean, we listen to like everything. I mean, you would think that's, we're in a lot of stuff. We try to pride ourselves on that. I think I told you guys before, we walk away from probably 98% of the stuff that we're, the deals that we're involved with or talking about. But at least we know that we've knocked down the door and we've gone in there and we've checked it out. And we always just have to constantly be thinking about the organization and how we're going to move it forward.
We're always got to be thinking about the organization and how we're going to be moving it forward. Man, he almost sounded like a hockey manager, hockey coach.
He's so comfortable, too. Those 20 minutes are just a very comfortable conversation.
He's so awkward on all that. Like, I don't want to say, well, am I supposed to say that or not say that?
Because you knuckleheads are going to run with anything you want. You're going to shape my words in any way. And you're going to now all of a sudden run with this and say, I want to trade Richard Sherman, when I told you 98% of the stuff that comes our way.
He did not say he wants to trade Richard Sherman. But he sure didn't say, yeah, that stuff's crazy.
Right.
He didn't say anything like it. He left a very open door to like, yeah, we got a lot of conversations.
And I hope this is the role he plays.
Sure.
I sent that to you guys last night. I hope he plays some bad cop. If Pete's going to be good cop and form all the relationships with the guys, somebody in the building has to be a bad cop and be a little bit of the governor in the break and say, no, you just don't act that way. You don't just treat your head coach this way. You don't treat your coordinator this way. You don't treat our brand this way publicly. And if I've got to be a bit of the bad cop here, I'll do it. I'll do it because this is the business side of it. And right now we're in the business season of things. I'm adding to my roster. I'm listening to everything. I'm evaluating my draft boards. I've got 6 gazillion things going on. I'm talking to this agent.
As he should
I'm talking
be.
to this player. I've got all of this going on. And, oh, by the way, yes, we listen to everything. And 98% of it we do walk away from. But are there 2% of these deals that could make sense for us? Percy Harvin, Jimmy Graham? Sure. And if something was floated our way that made sense, which is, I think, going to be the hard part to connect the dots, something that genuinely, from a value standpoint, makes sense for Richard Sherman, we got to be willing to move the program forward.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a really, really big phrase, though, right? To bring that phrase up when asked specifically about Richard Sherman, I think is interesting.
We always just have to constantly be thinking about the organization and how we're going to move it forward.
I mean, we're not making that up. I mean, there's certainly a leap to be made between they would like to trade Richard Sherman and the answers that John gave yesterday. And I am not trying to suggest that because of John's open-ended answer there, that they are out there actively shopping Richard Sherman or anything like it.
Nope.
But again,
to put your head in the sand and pretend that it's a non-starter. Our old conversations we used to have about Mariners.
Right.
Well, who's on your no-trade deadline? Nobody. Right. I mean, everybody has a price. Everybody has a value. If somebody's going to far exceed that, this isn't fantasy football that vetoes those deals before they come your way.
That's right.
Right.
John Schneider, like any person who's dealt with media for more than a day or two, knows how to shoot down something and make that media member look stupid if they want to do it. You're asking me about Richard Sherman? Hey, dude, we're not going to trade Richard Sherman is a really easy answer for John Schneider to give there.
Yep.
If that's what he wants to convey, it is really easy to just say, yeah, we're not going to do that, obviously. He's an all-pro cornerback. What are you, nuts? Yeah, we're not going to trade Russell Wilson, if that's the question asked.
Right.
Like, we have a franchise quarterback. You know what? You don't trade franchise quarterbacks. Why would you even ask me this? He's got every opportunity to say that. He chooses not to say it. And because of it, it has to at least leave the door open that this has been a conversation this offseason, which has to remind everybody that what went on last year with Sherm wasn't the norm.